Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Things are budding out fast in the greenhouse here. Today I'm going to be repotting my Japanese Grey Bark Elm. It's a fairly large leaf tree and it's grown really well since I first got it. It was grown from a seed by Michael of the KW Club. I'll show you the first pictures I have of it and you can see how much it's grown. This tree does have a nice trunk. Nice tall trunk before the first branch, so I don't need to prune it back in height very much. I'm just going to prune back these shoots to the first or second pair of leaves. I think I'll go right to here, taking the top off. I think that's it. I'll have to clean up. There's some liverwort and some Irish moss in the pot there. Yeah, looking really good, this tree. Okay, back on the bench it goes. Here is the tree today. So you can see the trunk is thickening up. It's getting a nice branch structure on the top. I can't remember when I last repotted it. It was before 2021. So I'm thinking it's been 4 years since I last repotted this tree. This tree also represents a tree in transition. It's transitioning from a seedling to something that's starting to look like a miniature tree. So I'll get it out of the pot. I had marked the front here, which is kind of looking in with this as a back branch. So here I go. I'll get it out of the pot. Like that. Lots and lots of roots in the soil. So I'll get out my root rake and start combing out the roots. All right. I will rake away all the soil and see what kind of root system this tree has. It's always interesting to see what the roots look like. Oh, here's some more of these crane fly larvae. They're always in my soil. I don't know why I get so many of them. I think I saw another one in here somewhere too. Maybe somewhere, I don't know. Anyway, I'll be putting the soil on the compost heap. Oh, there's another one there. So that's two big ones I found. We'll give those to the chickens or the ducks. Oh, there's another one here. That's three. So far. So the soil is nice and loose. I think it's a good time to repot this tree. I haven't left it too long. There's another crane fly larva. That's four. So I've encountered a fairly large surface root here, and it doesn't look to be the best direction. So I'll have to correct that. Oh, there's some more big roots in here. So when the tree's young like this, it's good to balance the root system. So all your surface roots are of even thickness. They're nice and radial, because it gets harder and harder to correct that as the tree gets older. So if you do it when it's young, you get all those surface roots sorted out, and then as the tree goes larger and larger, you just keep improving the root system, and eventually you end up with something really, really nice. That's the goal anyway, is to get a really good root system. Which, you know, if you have a good root system, it supports a good canopy on the top of the tree. They go hand in hand, the roots and the top of the tree. Now, I'm going to give all these larvae to the chickens. They'll like that. Well, the ducks got those grubs. The chickens took too long. They were looking at them like thinking, what is that? And the ducks just reached right in there and grabbed them and ate them. Now I'm looking for my drainage screen on the bottom here. Here it is. I'll try and get that removed. There's one of them. There's another one over here. There we go. Drainage screens are out. So I can start combing out the bottom of the root base. This tree was well watered. It's moist all the way through the soil, which is good. Now there's one root on the bottom here that's crossing under the root system. I'm going to remove that. It'll make my combing a lot easier. Get rid of that. Some of these roots have been circling around the bottom of the pot. I think I'm just going to cut those ones away. I won't be using those, so that'll also make combing out the roots a little easier. So I'm getting close to bare rooting the tree. Alright, I'm ready to start pruning the roots. So the first root I notice is this one. It's kind of growing out of the base of the tree, so I'll remove that one. There's a few root hairs sticking up here I can prune away. Do a little combing out and removing a bit more soil from here. I think my tub outside where I wash the roots is frozen, but I'll check it. Yeah, here's where I normally wash the roots. Well, I could remove this ice from the top maybe, and somehow I can't get my fingers in there. Maybe if I push down on one side. It's hard to do. I can't get it. If I had two hands. Try this again here. No. Oh, I got it under here. I've got it. Oh, come on, come on, come on. Wow, that's a big chunk of ice there. Okay, I'll have to get that out. And then I can wash those roots. I think it'll make the root pruning a lot easier. I got that big chunk of ice out, so I'll take the roots outside and wash them. I'll take my root rake with me so I can get all the soil out between the roots. I'll be right back. Here is my root base now. So there's a lot of tangled roots. So the first one I'm going to remove is this one. It comes out of the trunk at a funny angle and then it crosses over these roots down below. So that is going to get removed. And then I'll need to clean that up. Coming in and removing that root. Like that. So the next root is this one. It comes out at a radial direction and then it takes a bend over the wrong direction. You can see it crosses a radial one that's below it. So that needs to be cut back. And I think I'll use my bigger pruners on that. It looks like a fairly tough root. So I'm going to keep the part of it that's a bit radial, which isn't much, and come in and take this off here. Like that. So that comes off. There's one root here that comes off a radial root down below. I'm going to remove that. Coming around. Everything else is fairly radial. It's not very good, but it's radial. So the next root I'm going to prune is, this one comes almost straight down. You can see there's some roots coming off, kind of a little more horizontal. So I'm going to reduce this one back quite far to here. Like that. You can see that root's taken the shape of the bottom of the pot. Then on the very bottom here, there's a root growing straight down that I'm going to cut back. Get rid of that. Then this root is fairly radial, and then it kind of goes down quite a bit. So I'm going to take off the lower part of it, like that. There's a root here going 90 degrees to it. It doesn't flow, so I'll remove that. There's a root sticking up here I'll get rid of. I think this root is, no, maybe it's not dead. It doesn't look real healthy, but I think it's alive. There's a root in here coming off at a funny angle. I'll get rid of that. Then there's some long roots here. This one goes down too far into the soil. I'll prune the end of it off. There's one here going too far down. Prune that off. There's another one here. Prune that back shorter. And then this root, if you look from here, instead of flowing down into the soil, it actually comes up out of the soil. So it's not a good root. I'm going to have to remove it. So here I go. I don't know if I cut through it there. I don't think I did. There. So that comes off. That makes the root base flow down into the soil much better. There's a root sticking up here I can remove. There's also a root sticking up here and here. Get rid of those. And this part of it, you can see there's a bump of a root sticking up. I've got to cut that off. I think I'll use my concave pruners on that one. Get rid of it like that. Now here there's a root coming off of this root that crosses the other root. I think that's got to be pruned away. This root is very long and vigorous, and you can see it takes a funny turn when it hit the pot there. So that needs to be pruned off shorter to here. Like that. This root can be pruned back to here. This one, I think to here. So this big thick root here, it's a bit vigorous and it's going a little too far down into the soil. I'm going to prune it off shorter to here, like that. Taking a fair amount off that. And I'm wondering, I think that one needs to be reduced even more too. It's just too thick compared to the others, so I've got to zap the vigor out of it. Like that. I'll do a profile prune. And I am getting there with the roots. Another long one here and here. This root's a little, if you see, I want a flat root base on the bottom. There's a couple of roots here hanging down too low that I've got to prune away. That one and that one. Now that sits pretty good now. And it's not a bad looking root base. Just trying to see, I think the front of my tree was somewhere here. I don't think that's the front, the best front for the root base. I think it's more like here. So it's not too far off. I'll just do a little more combing out of some of this soil here. Yeah, I think that's about all I can do with the roots at this point in time. I think that's got them back on track. So let's get the tree potted up now. There's a look at the roots I took off compared to what's left on the tree. But these elms are very tough. They grow roots like crazy. So there's plenty of root on here to support the tree and have it grow really nicely this year. I think the original pot the tree was growing in is still a good size for it. There's lots of room for the roots to grow in here. So I'll clean up the pot, get some drainage screens in. Actually, it has these big drainage screens built into the pot, but they're not fine enough. The soil will fall through the holes, so that's why I put some finer screen across it. I've got a base layer of soil in the pot now. So my former front of the tree was here, but the roots don't look very good from that view, so I think I'll rotate it around more to this view. And the front still looks quite nice from this view, so that will be my new front, and it could change as the roots develop and get better over the years. That former front could become the front again. Make sure all my roots are combed out nice and radial. And I can start filling it in with soil. So here I go. And then I'll just lift the tree up slightly. Make sure those roots are flowing down into the soil. And continue filling it in. I'll just make sure there's no air pockets in here. There shouldn't be many air pockets because it's quite flat on the bottom of the root base. Tree feels quite firm in the pot. So I'll top up the soil now. Let's see how that looks. I want the soil just slightly below the lip of the pot, so when you water it, the water doesn't run off over the edge of the pot. It's kind of caught by the lip. That's looking pretty good. You can just see the start of the flare at the base of the tree there. Okay. Let's step back, have a look at the tree, and then I'll water it. Here's a look at the tree in the pot now. So yeah, the former front view, more like here, the tree looked a little more upright, and the new front view, the trunk kind of goes off to the right hand side, but I've got a good branch here that I can build out the canopy and get it look a little more upright. So I think it's looking good in the pot. It's time to water the tree. All right, here I go with the water. I've got the tree repotted. I repotted it today because the buds here are just starting to swell show a bit of green on them. Yeah, so it's a good time to repot. I'll rotate the tree around so you can see it from all angles now. So here is my current front, coming around to the right hand side, coming around to the back, the left hand side, and back around to the front. Darth Maul is having a bath today. Hi! Look at that! He looks so clean. He looks like a really mean duck, but he's the friendliest fellow. Wow, look at you. Yeah, get those feathers clean. Wow. Bath time. I'll place some stones on the surface of the soil just to hold the tree in place until the roots get established in the pot. Like that. I don't wire my trees into the pots because if you wire across the roots, you get horrible wire marks on your root system, and they're very hard to get out. You'll see very old trees with these lines across the roots from wires, and to me it doesn't look so good. So that's the reason I use stones, and the roots quickly get established in the pots, so these stones will stay on till maybe late spring, midsummer, and then I can remove them and the tree will be very, very firm in the pot. It may seem like starting a bonsai from a seed will just take forever, but time has flown with this tree. It's about 5 years old now from a seed, and it's starting to take on a nice tree-like form. So that is it for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.